Let's bring him in now. Our good friend Chris Getzlaf joining us on video chat, former Ticat, Rough Rider, and Edmonton Eskimo joining us from his office today. Hey, Getz, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, Getz. Appreciate the time this morning. Did you watch WrestleMania 36 over the weekend?
I can't say I did, no.
Me either.
Okay, 2 out of 3 did not. Are you not a wrestling fan? What is your take on pro wrestling?
No, I'm definitely not an ongoing fan. I did watch it a little bit growing up, big fan of Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart back in that kind of time.
That's why I ask. I haven't watched it for 30 years, but please tell me what else there was to watch on the weekend. So I bought WrestleMania 36, and it was just okay. And I was going to ask you who your favorite wrestlers were. You just said it, Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. How are things in your world right now, Chris? More importantly, how's the health of everybody in the Getzlaf family?
Health's good, so I don't think anyone can complain about that. Everyone's just kind of doing their part in self-isolation, and you can see that my background is I'm at my office, but I'm the only one operating out of the office, so I'm self-isolated here.
Chris, if you don't mind, we're just bringing you on to shoot the fat here this morning. It's been some time now since you're retired, so I'd like to ask you how post-retirement life has been for you. You were morphing your 2 careers like the smartest guys do. Jason Claremont comes to mind. But what is post-football life like for you right now?
It's great. I mean, I love it, other than, getting drastically out of shape. But outside of that, it's been very good. It was an easy transition for me. Like you said, I had morphed them together, so I was already set up to do exactly what I wanted to do right when I retired, and I just kind of jumped into that and added a bunch of extra hours.
It's funny you say that, because maybe there will be a day down the line that you do miss it, but it doesn't seem like that. Like, were you ready to go? Because there are some guys that would give an appendage for just one more play. Are you one of those guys, or did when you were done, you just left and never looked back?
No, I mean, to use the words miss it, I mean, I still miss it. There's no question about that. I mean, you get to play a game that you love with a bunch of friends, really, that you're seeing every single day. And you get to hang out with them and play a sport, run around. I mean, it was an absolute blast, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. I don't regret at all the timing that I retired and not ready to actually play, but to say that I don't miss it would be a stretch.
Chris, we got some tongues wagging over the weekend with the Duron Carter stuff. I don't know if you saw his tweet. Was it late last week that he put out the tweet?
Get saw it because he was...
Okay.
Yeah.
So... can you try and help us explain this, what it's really like for a pro football player? Because we know how much it is, especially in the Canadian Football League, where the salaries aren't that high and there's young guys coming in all the time. The job security aspect of playing pro sports, and how tough this time is, for some of the current players, especially the veterans.
Yeah, I mean, your job security is slim to nil, really. I mean, you don't know each and every day whether you're going to be sent out the window or not. I mean, it doesn't even come down to, how you performed the year before. A lot of times, even, it's just kind of the flavor of the moment, and you just happen to be the person taking that cut. I mean, everyone jumps on Duron pretty quickly for a lot of the things that he says, but I think that they take it out of context a lot of times. I mean, he was simply saying that, yeah, when you're a football player, you are somewhat signing up for the possibility that you could be cut. But people compare it to signing a contract, and that contract could end. Yes, it could, but when you sign a contract with another employer, if you're doing your job, is that contract cut on any specific regular basis? Because that is what happens in football a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I saw you got involved in that thread, and I was just sticking up for Duron because, as usual, people didn't understand what he was saying, and I go through that problem a lot, too. So I just wanted to defend Duron. Now, speaking of, I thought of you, Getz, when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay and he got his jersey number 12 because somebody was wearing it. Can't remember the dude's name with the Bucks. Doesn't matter. That guy switched to 14. In your history of both CFL and NHL with your brother, what are some stories you remember of guys giving up their number or not giving up their number? Because Duron had your number when you came back here. Was there a conversation about that? How does that ever work out?
I mean, I think it's usually just a conversation between the person who had it and the person who's coming in and how they feel about it or view it. I mean, when I came back to the Riders, I mean, I had the smallest of conversations with Duron about it. And, I was a longer serving veteran for sure, but he was pretty established in the league already and one of the star players on the team at the time. So I wasn't really expecting him to pass on his number to me. I mean, for Tom Brady, I think it's pretty no-brainer. I mean, no matter where he goes, I don't think it really would have mattered who was wearing 12. They would have had to give it up. I mean, you're talking the greatest quarterback to ever touch a football field.
But here's how I look.
Another example that comes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say another that comes to mind is the first Olympic team that Ryan played for. I think Danny Heatley was on it. He played for so many Team Canadas. I think it was the Olympic team. Danny Heatley was on it, and he wore 15, and Ryan ended up wearing 51 that year.
Well, and that's I think it's a case-by-case basis because when you came to the Riders, I'm like, DC might have to give up 89 because Getz is a legend here. And it just didn't seem like it was that big a deal to you when you showed up. And Zach Collaros, when he came here, I thought it would be a no-brainer that he would wear whatever it would be. He didn't care. He's like, give me a number. And you know Zach well enough that would not surprise you, but maybe it just depends on the player, right?
Yeah, somewhat depends on the player. I mean, a lot of situations I would have wanted the number, but I came in at closer to the end of a year, and I had a pretty good idea that it was going to be my last year. So, I wasn't trying to create any possible tiff. Not that Duron would have made a deal about it or anything, but I didn't feel like it was necessary conversation to really even have or bring forward. So I kind of actually looked at it as a weird opportunity to use a number that I used my very first year. I mean, it was kind of a full circle kind of thing for me.
Was it 71 that you ended up getting?
Yeah, I was wearing 71 in practice the whole time, which is what I wore in training camp with the Ticats. So that's why I kind of viewed it as a kind of a full circle type of deal. And when I actually played in that playoff game, I ended up wearing a number in the 80s, I believe. I think maybe even 84, which is my rookie number.
Right. Well, I've got photos of you in the 71, which honestly some diehards will go, oh, he's wearing Jerrison's number now. How disrespectful. Why isn't that not retired? But anyways, Getz, I just wanted, there's some viewers have some questions. You just got a couple minutes to answer a few of those, if you don't mind?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Craig Smith, our director of scouting, is watching and writes in, Smitty, he says, if on routes, pull videos on Chris, textbook routes. Who taught you how to run routes in football so well?
It was kind of an evolution of just over time, developing little ideas and how you are going to be able to run them successfully. I was never really like a standard stop and start kind of route runner. I was more of a speed cut guy that used a little deception, and my hips worked a little different than a lot of people. So I was able to kind of show one way with my hips, which DBs are trained to look at. I was able to flip those one way and turn the other, which was pretty hard to do for a lot of people. So that really helped. But when it comes to get tips, I got coaches years over years, players that you idolize and pick up tips from. Claremont, you already mentioned him. Guys with that kind of knowledge. You come into the league. Even Fantuz came in 1 year before me. I looked at kind of what he was doing. He broke into the league at a young age and was a pretty big player already. So, I don't know. You just constantly learn from the guys around you, and you pick up things in the film room, and you try to apply them in your game. And I was never the fastest guy out there, so I knew that I had to come up with different ways to get open, and that was mainly in route running.
Couple real quick ones here. I know the answer to this, but I'll allow it because two people are asking it. Jason in Red Deer and Wayne in Victoria want to know, what is your most memorable play? What is your most memorable catch? If I may, it was Calgary 08, was it not? But can you answer that question? Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it was, I think it was 09, Calgary
Okay.
09. Week 5, Calgary 09. Minute and 30 left about. And Durant hit me for a 60-yard touchdown in cover 0. And that was kind of my breakout game, if you will. And I was a starter from then on in, whether it was full-time or part-time. But it allowed me to stay on the field on a regular basis.
And our intern, Alan, wants to know, who was the DB that gave you the most trouble?
The DB that gave me the most trouble, I would say for the largest part of my career, I would say Chip Cox was kind of that guy. He was physical, he was fast, and he was Johnny on the spot. Like, he was always there to make a play, whether that was a fumble recovery, forced fumble, interception, whatever it was. He was just a very, very good football player.
Well, Getz, I appreciate the time this morning and the answers and all the rest. Glad to hear that everybody's doing so well. Our best to all you guys, and stay safe. I would say stay home, but you're in the office alone, so stay in the office, and we'll chat down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me.
You bet.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.